You are, I guess, currently developing deeper combat and magic simulations in your game. Would you like to talk a bit about those?
Sure. We've been working feverishly on building out our combat and magic and crafting skill trees.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, that requires us to also think about, well, how does combat work, and how does magic work, and how does crafting work, how does character advancement work, all of those things. The current design for advancement is that it starts out pretty traditional in the sense that you get experience points for doing things like, you know, making things or fighting enemies or completing quests, and then those experience points build up to levels, and when you reach those levels you get skill points that you can spend on a variety of skills, whether those are combat, magic, or crafting skills. But where we depart is that there are no classes, so there is no fighter or wizard or cleric or paladin. Those don't exist in our game. Instead, we just have an open set of skills that, and some of those skills have dependencies, so some of the more advanced spells and say the fire magic school require you to learn some base fire magic skills, but other than that, any player can select those skills. So you can create a character that's got a completely custom mix of skills that will be different than the other player has, and you could have someone, or you could focus on a very particular set of things. And we have 9 schools of magic, so they're the traditional elemental schools of air, earth, fire, and water. We have some what we also consider elemental schools, but they're non-traditional elemental schools. So we consider life and magic and death magic elements, and sun and moon are also elements. So there's 8 of those elemental schools, and then in the center is a school of magic called chaos magic, which is the most unpredictable magic we have, and my personal favorite, and also my character Darkstar's personal favorite, because those of you who remember Ultima Online, my character Lord Blackthorn represented chaos, and Lord British represented order, and so my character in Shroud of the Arbiter, Darkstar, is also a devout follower of chaos magic, and so that's awesome. The first time we're releasing that information. And chaos magic, we have this concept of backfires and fizzles, because magic in general has a very high payoff when you're adventuring in combat. It's very, very powerful, but it costs a lot, so you have to use reagents to cast all your spells, so you have to make sure you have the reagents on hand. And then the higher and the more powerful the spell is, the more it's going, more focus, and focus is our equivalent of mana, but it applies to both combat and magic. So the higher level spell, the more focus it requires, but it also has a % chance to fail, or in some cases backfire. And chaos magic has very high backfire percentages, which means it can be very unpredictable what will happen. You may think you're about to do a certain thing, like summon a demon, but you may accidentally turn you or one of your party members into a chicken. and that's all in the playing to the theme of that school. And we tried to make each school of magic have a theme. So chaos, of course, is the most chaotic one, and one of my favorite details in that one is that you learn to summon a demon, and demons are right now probably the most powerful creature type in the game. You learn to summon a demon first, but then the second spell you learn after that is how to control a demon. So you can summon the demon, and then the demon can do whatever the demon wants to do. Which, and remember, it's a chaos demon, so it's gonna pretty much do what it wants, and it may kill your enemies, but it may kill you too. So there's a separate spell now that you have to learn afterwards, which is to control the demon. And so
I love the disconnect. It's great. It's very unpredictable.
And again, we tried to make that every magic school have that a theme. So, for instance, fire magic is not just about, while it's the school that does the most direct damage, it also has the chance to light your targets on fire. So it also, all of its attacks have a damage over time potential too. So that's kind of the theme of fire. Then something like the School of Moon Magic. Moon Magic is about stealth and concealment and being able to see it in the dark. So it's very applicable to people who want to take a stealth type role.
Mm-hmm.
Water magic is a blend of both ice magic, so it has a tendency to slow your enemies, but it's also got some healing abilities in like Soothing Rain is one of the spells in water. And another characteristic that we have is that a lot of the schools allow you to summon elementals, and that's kind of one of the most powerful spells in that school, where once you learn pretty much all the spells in that school, you learn how to summon an elemental that can also use some of those spells from that school. And in the case of water, it's the only elemental school where you can summon two different types of elemental. There's an ice elemental and a water elemental. And the ice elemental is a combative ally, whereas the water elemental is more of a supportive ally. So it'll do things like heals and buffs on you. What are some other things? Death magic is what people would recognize as necromancy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doing things like making corpses explode, animating corpses, and summoning undead. And one of the things I like about one thing we tried to make it a little different is that the idea that the undead that you're summoning are, I mean, they're decayed, right? Mm-hmm. So they're in the process of decaying. So even once you summon them to do you, they're going to start falling apart pretty much immediately. And so there's an innate spell or skill that you can learn in that magic school, which is mummification, which the idea is that the undead that you're summoning will last longer because you're going to apply mummification techniques to them.
So it preserves them for a bit.
Yeah, so they don't rot as quickly